What's up everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing my review on the Tesla Model Y 2020. So to start off, some of you guys may or may not know that I've had the car for about a month to a month and a half, and I've put over 2,000 miles in the car already. If you guys don't know, I've been commuting a lot back and forth due to school, so that's how I put so many miles in the car. So we're going to be covering this video in three different parts. We're going to be talking about the exterior of the car and what I do and don't like about it, and go over what I think they can improve. Two, the overall feel of the car and how I like it in comparison to other cars that I've driven. And three, just things that they can do to improve in the future. But before I start going into the three different parts of my review, I want to cover one very important aspect, and that is that I am coming at this review in terms of the average consumer, because that's what I am. I am not super tech savvy, nor am I a vehicle enthusiast in any way. So when I talk about this car, I want you guys to think about it as a review, as if somebody was just a regular consumer going and buying the car. In my personal experience, I was always super into Teslas and just the idea of where they were going in the future. And just the cars are so far more advanced than regular cars out there. So that is why I made the jump into buying an electric vehicle. And so that is where I am going to base my review off of. So that being said, I don't want you guys to think that I'm not going to be covering some of the very important features of this car, because in fact I am. I'm just not going to be covering super specific topics such as maybe the suspension of the car or very detailed specifics like that. But I'm going to be going over the features that I think are super important to this car and what make this car really stand out. Alright guys, let's dive right into the first part of this video where we're going to be talking about the exterior look of the car. Personally, I think that this car looks very good and very sexy, as Elon Musk would say. I've only had two cars in my past. I've had a 2001 Toyota Celica and a 2013 Subaru BRZ, both of which were coupes. And so I've always kind of said that I like that sports car look, but to me this car looks very appealing. Even though it is a little bit bigger in size, I would compare the size kind of close to a RAV4 or Honda CR-V. I still find the exterior to look very aggressive and just overall very pleasing to the eye. So I'm first going to start talking about the overall paint color of the car. I very much have not liked the white color of cars in general, but this pearl white looks really good on the Tesla for some reason. I really like the look, and it is the color that is included, so I would definitely say that that is a good color to go with. With that in mind, I would say that even though I like the pearl white that comes on the car, their Tesla paint quality is not the best. I've read on many sites such as Reddit and other YouTube videos that the paint quality of Tesla is really poor, and that their paint chips easily with rocks or just driving off the highway. So that's something to watch out for, and maybe a reason not to get the more expensive paint colors, because there's a lot of aftermarket stuff where you can get a vinyl wrap or a PPF, which is a paint protective filament, that will cost upwards of a couple $1,000s. But if you really want to protect the paint on your car, that is something to keep in mind. Personally, I myself have luckily not had any problems with the paint. Sure, if it's white, you're going to see some bird poop and all that stuff on there, but luckily I do not have any paint chips or anything like that. Now I'm also going to cover some of the specifics of the exterior that I really like about the Model Y, starting with the chrome delete. I really like that they decided to go with the chrome delete alongside of the car, because it just really looks a lot better in my personal opinion, better than the actual chrome. It kind of just gives it that more of a sports car feel personally, which is what I am used to. If I would have gotten a smaller car like the Model 3, I would have even gotten the chrome delete on that car, which would have to be aftermarket, because the Model 3s weren't coming with chrome delete back at that time. I hear that in the future models they're going to get rid of the chrome altogether, and that's just going to come stock, but I would have gotten rid of that regardless. So now when it comes to the rims, the Model Y comes stock with these rims right here. If you take this off under it, it reveals this like other silver rim. This is something I wish Tesla would have came out with a black rim to kind of match the chrome delete that is already on the car, but they decided to make the black rim the induction wheels, which cost about $2,000 extra currently, which is something that I really couldn't afford at the moment, but it is an option I would have loved to have gotten just to have it match the chrome delete on the car. So I think that overall would have made the car look a lot better, but maybe that's something I'll get in the future. Another thing I think that makes this car look really good is that the back windows already come tinted. It's already pretty dark, and normally you can't really see that well into the car, so that's something I very much enjoy. And then the front windows unfortunately do not come tinted, so that is something that you have to tint. And I think that if you get it to match the back, it would also give it that much meaner feel to it. The last feature I wanted to cover is this nice long black window that runs over the entire top of the car. It looks really good, given I am 6'3", so I can actually see the top of the car, and depending on your size, that might not even be something that you could see. But this thing looks really nice along the outside of the car, and when you're inside, it just looks so nice when you can just look up at the sky and see everything, all the trees that you're passing by, the stars, all that stuff looks really good, and I think it's just an added bonus to the car. Overall, personally, I love the look of this car. I have only owned sports cars in the past, and so if you know anybody that likes sports cars, it's all about how the car looks. And also how it rides, obviously, but we care a lot about how the car looks. And personally, I think that this car looks very aggressive. It catches a lot of attention on the road, and it is a car that looks amazing. And that's why I would say if you're into cars that look good, Tesla Model Y is definitely a car to keep in mind. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started with part 2 of this video, and I'm going to be talking about the overall performance and just how the car feels when you're driving it. So to start off this part of the video, I'm going to be talking about comfort, particularly the seats and how comfortable they are, because that's one of the first things that you're going to realize when you get into this car. The seats are fully adjustable and they provide a lot of support for your back and bottom, which makes long car drives very smooth. On the subject of comfort, I really like how you can save your driver profile on here, so the car will recognize who's opening it and it will adjust accordingly. And that's something that's cool because you don't even have to be in the car for that to happen. The car will automatically recognize the phone and it will adjust the seat accordingly. So although the seats are really comfortable and I have no complaints about that, the ride itself could be a little bit smoother. Reason being, strangely enough, is because I know in the beginning of this video I said I wouldn't cover the car suspension because it was too detailed, but I'm just going to cover that subject broadly. The car itself doesn't have the most high quality suspension, and so that allows you to feel a lot of those bumps in the road. The reason I believe Tesla doesn't include a higher grade suspension in this vehicle is because the cost would be way too high. Reason being is because right now the batteries are relatively still pretty expensive to make, and that's not what Tesla's trying to do right now. They're trying to have their cars be a little bit more accessible to the everyday consumer. Alright, so now moving on from that, we're going to talk about the next thing that you absolutely notice when you step in this car and when you're driving it. And that is the quick acceleration that this car has. The way I would describe the Tesla acceleration is as if you were sitting in an up-to-date roller coaster. The way it just takes off makes your head hit the back of the seat. The Tesla Model Y accelerates at 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, which is ridiculous for the size of this car. Sometimes the acceleration is a little bit too much, to be honest. Like when I'm trying to pass a car on the freeway and I'll press on the accelerator, I kind of scare myself as to how fast and how instant that acceleration is. My girlfriend has driven the car as well, and she says that when she's had the same story, like when she's trying to pass a car, she forgets how much power is instantly given to the car, and that she also scares herself, which I think is pretty funny, but it just speaks to how much power this car has. So moving on from the acceleration, this car is quite big, so it doesn't take turns as well as I would like it to, but obviously being a bigger car, it's still going to have a little bit of that body roll. But because the car is electric and the battery is on the base of the car, it really keeps it down to the ground so that it doesn't roll as much as other cars would. Gas-powered cars have a little bit more body roll because of the engine itself. The engine is super heavy, so when you're taking turns, it doesn't have that good strong foundation such as the Tesla battery does. For example, I've driven my dad's 4Runner, and that car has a lot of roll when you're taking turns, so much so that you have to slow down a lot when you're merging onto the freeway or turning on any street. But with the Model Y, the roll isn't as significant, so I don't feel the need to slow down as much, but I definitely do still feel it. So far I've covered three things: the comfort of the car and how I think it's super comfortable, but it could be a little bit better if it were to have a better suspension. Two, I also covered the acceleration and how it's like nothing I've ever driven before. And three, how the car has some body roll, but it isn't as bad as some of the bigger engine powered cars. So those things that I talked about were things that were specific kind of more towards the drive of the car and how it feels. But now I'm going to be talking about specific features and what makes this car really worth it. Starting off right off the bat, number one, autopilot. The autopilot in this car is like unlike anything I've ever seen before in any other car, especially any car that I've driven. The ability to just get on the highway, set your speed, and let the car drive itself is amazing. I haven't had many problems with it. The only problems that I've had with autopilot are just that phantom braking, which I'm sure many people have heard of. For those of you who don't know, phantom braking is when the Tesla will be driving and automatically for some reason it will just detect something and it will just stop and slow down, or not necessarily go to a complete stop, but it will slow down and alert you that it is slowing down, and it is kind of abrupt. So that is something I've encountered about 3 times on my drives. Regardless of its faults or the minor bugs that currently still happen with autopilot, I think it is one of the best features of this car and a major reason as to why you should buy the Model Y. The next feature that I'm going to cover is the sound. I know that sounds strange coming after number one being autopilot, but the sound was honestly a huge factor when I bought this car. I wish I could play a song for you guys right now so you guys could hear just what it sounds like. But unfortunately, that's kind of something that you have to go in and listen to on your own. Another feature I like about this car is just the ability to pull up these cameras anytime you like. Cameras are pretty good. You can see the back, the 2 sides, and so you can just pull this up when you're on a regular car drive. So if you're like, oh smokes, this car is really close behind me, and you want to see the license plates on that car or something, I don't know, you could just go ahead and open up the camera right here and it'll show you the back of the car or the sides or whatever it is. So the next feature I'm going to cover is Sentry Mode. So for Sentry Mode, you just come here and you click Launch Viewer. Sentry Mode is really great and another feature that stands out a lot. So when you go to Sentry Mode, you can go and see your recorded clips or your saved clips. Given for this, you have to buy a little hard drive and connect it to the car. But after that's connected, you can go, and when someone gets super close to the car, it will save it if you have enough battery. I think you have to have above like 20% battery for that to happen. Don't quote me on that. But you can go ahead, and if you see this little red circle here, this is when the car starts recording. And you can see what happens. So right here, you can see that this guy got super close. He was leaving his car. And you can see what happens just in case you come back and someone ended up scratching your car. You can go ahead and look at your Sentry Mode and see who the culprit is. Get those license plates and report it to the Popo. Just kidding. Actually, not kidding, because the other day I was parking at my parents' place and I left the car overnight, and one of the next door neighbors hit my car. I only noticed it because I looked at my Sentry cam and I saw that she swung her door open and it actually hit the car. Luckily, it was just like a little smudge, and I like just licked it away basically. But I let her know that, hey, if she could be a little bit more careful when she's opening her door. Luckily, the car wasn't scratched. And then she was like, oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's a whole story. But that's something to look out for. But that's something I was glad to have. I was really glad to have that Sentry Mode, and that's why it's another feature that I'm highlighting right now. Another thing that I'm going to highlight isn't in the car itself, it's more the Tesla app and how you can control your car from that app. It's really nice just to be able to heat up the car at like say 5:30 in the morning when you're going to work or something like that. Another feature I like a lot is very simple, but I really love this command button. You just push it and you could just say a large range of commands, such as this one, defrost the windows. And the car will automatically enable the defroster. Stop the defroster. Just stuff like that is amazing. Just the ability to be able to do voice recognition in your car is so cool to me. Another thing I like a lot is just the quirkiness, I would say, to this car sometimes. Like this voice command is hilarious. My ass is cold. And it will turn up this seat warmer. Like that that is amazing. It doesn't get better than that. Turn off the ass warmer. Dang it, that one didn't work. Alright, well, you get the point. So the last feature that I'm going to cover that really makes this car worth it is the ability to just have over-the-air software updates. And so this is huge in my opinion, because as long as this car will get updates, that means that this car will continue to improve for years to come. It has minor updates from just like updating the Bluetooth connectivity and some other stuff like that. But it also has some really big updates, such as this one that increased the range a couple weeks ago. So if this car can continue to get updates like that, it will continue to improve, and it will be as if you're getting a new car every couple of weeks. Well, not a new car, but you get the point. So is the car worth it? I personally believe that the car is worth it, and that's why I have it. I do think that Tesla has some issues to fix, such as the quality control and some other minor bugs that they have to fix with autopilot and stuff like that. But overall, I like the direction the car is headed. In no car have I felt the experience of that super fast acceleration. In no car have I had that autopilot. In no car have I been able to get software updates over the air. Like, that is something I've never had and never thought I would have. So all in all, I do think this car is worth the buy. I hope you like this video, and like I said in my old video, I plan to make a video about charging because I don't have a charger in my apartment, so that's going to be the next video I make. And if you found any use in this video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you haven't watched my other videos, go ahead and watch them. I'll link them here, or whatever they show up on YouTube. But thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Subscribe. See ya.